Hey there, welcome back to the Win a Pageant podcast. I'm your coach, Alicia Darby. Now, this episode features a client of mine who agreed to 3 specific things: to be coachable, to be vulnerable, and to have her coaching session recorded and published in order to help you. So I know that a lot of women who haven't had pageant coaching before don't really know what to expect or how much can you really even get done in 30 minutes. So this client of mine agreed to have her session recorded in order to show you what gets done and how it gets done during a virtual coaching session. Okay, so I want you to listen to this call from 2 different perspectives. First of all, I want you to think, could pageant coaching, especially virtually, even be something that could help you in your pageant prep? I want you to be thinking about that. At the end of the video, I'll tell you how you could make that a reality for you. The second thing that I really want you to pay attention to is I want you to think the things that I'm sharing with her, the coaching that I'm giving her, how can you apply that coaching to your own pageant prep, okay? What are the things that she's learning in this and the skills that she's developing and the strategy that she's learning? How can you apply that to yourself? I'm so grateful that this client allowed me to record this call because I know a lot of the things that she learned during this call will support you in your pageant prep. So sit back with an open mind, maybe get a notepad and a pen handy because a lot of this coaching is going to apply to you too, all right? Enjoy. So, we're going to dive right in, girl, because I know you've got some big, you got a big pageant and it's coming up soon in June, right?
So they've actually moved it to August, but hopefully it happens because of this coronavirus thing. I have no idea.
Yeah. Hey, that's okay. A few extra months to prepare isn't going to hurt you. So that's good to
great.
hear. Yeah, cool. All right. So how can I help you?
So I think I've just got a lot of trouble in sort of sticking to my platform. And I think it's because I'm not 100% sure that I'm picking the right platform. And I guess, nothing specifically bad has happened to me, which is obviously a blessing. So I always think it's always harder for me to sort of select something that, I can really say I'm fully passionate about. So at the moment, I've sort of thought, look, maybe I could do something along the lines of helping students in transitioning from, year 12 to university. The reason why I chose that was just because when I saw that a lot of people struggled to stay. So a lot of people struggled to stay focused. People were really stressed and there's lots of anxiety, and I guess there's no real help. So that there's help at the university, but I think people struggle to sort of go there and sort of seek the help that they need. I had a lot of people drop out of uni as well in my course, and it's not like they didn't have the capacity to sort of complete the degree. It's more they didn't have the emotional support. So I thought maybe having a survival guide or some kind of peer mentorship would be good. So that's where I'm at, really, is just being sure about whether I'm picking the right platform.
Yeah, this is cool. So, okay, I like this. So it sounds like this idea has come from your witnessing around you that your peers are not really making it into the next phase, How are you feeling personally at uni?
Well, I've finished 2 degrees now, so so I've got practice. But I definitely struggled in the beginning, just trying to navigate what exactly are we meant to do. I mean, even simple things like writing an essay. So in high school, I would have said, I'm pretty decent at writing an essay, but that's completely different in university. I actually had a university lecturer say to me, look, you might want to go and study something else. I don't think you can do this. So I was like, so I was a bit stressed. And I just sort of ignored that and carried on pushing and really asking people around me, look, what is this essay meant to look like? What are we supposed to do? So because I think I was brave enough to, go up to the lecturers and all of that, I think that's what led me to surviving law school and ultimately getting a master's as well. So yeah.
Interesting. So what do you think is the difference between you having the bravery to do that and the other people that are just kind of quitting? What's the difference?
I do think it was the emotional support. So I had my family backing me. I live in Australia, or I studied in Australia. My parents were in South Africa. So even though they were far away, I still had that sort of connection and someone sort of boosting me. I think the other thing that helped was that I wasn't afraid to sort of reach out to people who were a bit senior to me, maybe in their final year of uni, and reach out to them and say, look, can I do some tutoring with you? Or, just can we discuss, how you have survived so far and what have you done to really achieve your goals and everything. So I think that's what helped a lot.
Yeah, that's good. Do you think that there is any, because I'm thinking that the obvious other side that of people who, like when you say like, oh, well, not everybody made it through school. Well, so some people might say that, oh, it's because they were lazy, or oh, it's because they aren't good at school, or they're not cut out for it, Is there any truth to that, some truth to that, or really is it that even those people who aren't necessarily cut out for it still could succeed even if they had that support? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Or do you have any stats? I don't know, or personal thoughts?
Yeah. So, I don't have any stats, but I guess from watching the people around me, and I was quite close with a lot of people who decided to sort of pursue something else. And, they did try till up maybe the end of second year, third year. And so it's a 4-year degree. And a lot of those people, I don't think that they were, I don't think I was smarter than them or more determined than them, or, it's more, I think the emotional upheaval of, first of all, some people, came to Australia from a different country. Some people came from a different state. So it might have been that, just not having that support, or maybe not being able to discuss it with someone and get some sort of bounce back. So I'm not too sure, but from what I saw, I don't think it was laziness or anything like that. I saw people who really put in the effort, and they just at the end of the day struggled to survive. Yeah,
that's good. Okay, so now let me switch gears a bit, and let me ask you this: in your world, what are the things that you lean toward? Like, do you love social media? Do you like to read books? Are you into podcasts? Like, what are the things that you feel like if you were to create something, where might it live?
Yeah, so I guess what I'm quite interested in these days is actually podcasts, because I've actually been listening to quite a few, so especially yours. So yeah, I just find that it's quite helpful. You can just be going for a walk and really soak in some information. And yeah, I think podcasts, and I guess also I'm a reader, so something nice and short, just a quick search and being able to just have a quick summary of what I need to do, helps a lot as well.
Yeah, this is good. Okay, I'm taking a bunch of notes over here. Yeah, good stuff. Okay, so are you in Facebook groups? Do you do a lot of Facebook groups?
Yeah, I do Facebook groups. I've noticed that there's some groups that are quite, there are quite a lot of people and there's quite a lot of interest, but it seems like people try not to use Facebook, or they just have lost interest in Facebook as much as, it looks like they've lost interest. So I've been noticing most people are really into Instagram, Snapchat, all of that kind of thing. And I guess TikToks, but I haven't gotten into that yet. So
I know, those are like crazy. I've been watching them. They're so addicting. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm going to want to watch another. Like, J-Lo's been doing a bunch of them now. She's on TikTok and all these people. I'm like, oh, this is fun. I'm like, I do not want to get on. Like, oh, yeah, but they are fun though to watch. Okay, cool. Yeah. This is good. Okay, so here is my thought for you. And and we're recording this. You'll get the recording, so you don't have to take a ton of notes, but maybe you'll be like, other things might come to you as I share this, so feel free to write them down. So I am thinking, based on what you explained, that it sounds like the two main pieces to your success were the emotional support, but also mentorship. And mentorship really from a lot of your instructors, but also possibly from others in your, like other peers who've gone before you, you know? So I'm wondering if you do kind of two pieces where you have the piece of the instruction and the giving and the how-to, but then you provide a piece for the actual emotional support that people really do need going through this process. So what I'm kind of envisioning is like a support group, like where, and I'm not sure where you house it. I agree with you that Facebook groups are either knocking it out of the park or they're falling short. And as a owner of a Facebook group, they are difficult to maintain because of the way that Facebook is now. Things get lost very easily, and you gotta pin things to the top or tag people. It's like it's hard to track. But there's a great software that it's very different from Facebook, but it works once you get over the learning curve. It works a little bit better. It's called Slack. Have you heard of Slack?
No.
So Slack is it's a really more of a project management tool. You'll probably get targeted for it. I get targeted all the time for it on YouTube. It's like Slack is a project manager tool, blah, blah, blah. But basically you can have like threads with a hashtag. So you might have a certain thread about like studying tips or something, or a thread about whatever. And then people can join the Slack group and they can search for topics based on those threads and join in on the conversation. So it's a little bit easier to search. The learning curve is large for those who haven't used it before. You would want some kind of training or something before you set it up. But even if it wasn't that, maybe it's a Google Hangout to start, or maybe it's just a group of people that you FaceTime or something like that. But I'm thinking of this as if you could create some type of like sorority that did not have all of the red tape to get into a sorority, but it's like a support group. But a sorority is kind of like a support group anyway, like that like an organization that supports people during their time in university and after. So once they graduate, they can still be a member of it as a mentor, So now you've got people who are even perhaps in multiple generations, but definitely people's peers cheering them on, supporting them. So there's like a group. You market that group through your own podcast. So if you had a podcast, and it doesn't have to be some great big deal, it could literally be you giving words of encouragement to the person you were 4 years ago or 3 years ago or 2 years ago. Like you're encouraging yourself, like, hey, if you find yourself studying and you're on, rocking on coffee and Red Bulls and you just need to sleep, just sleep. Set your timer for 20 minutes. Get the sleep that you need. Wake up, you'll feel refreshed. Okay, see you next time. Like whatever your podcast is, just quick hits of the emotional support that people really do need to hear, so that when I'm in the library knocking my head against the wall because I haven't slept and I'm overwhelmed and I have no idea what the answer is, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to put in my earbuds and I'm going to just freaking listen to what Dara has to say, and she's going to jolt me back to life. And I'll get on with myself, And then on the podcast, you say, if you need emotional support, or I wouldn't use that word, but it's really like if you need mentorship and support, perhaps you say it more like that, join our community or join our, I would love to have like a good word like sorority, but not that word, but something like that. That's like join our group, on whatever. And then you give them easy instructions. And I'm sure there's other than Slack and Facebook groups, there's probably lots of other things like that you could just ask your friends, like, hey, what if I was going to create a group for us, what group would you want to be in, and do it with just your friends first and just see if they'll join you just for, people being there, so that when someone does join out of necessity, because they need support, because they don't have it anywhere else, there's people there to welcome them, and then slowly it will start to grow more and more and more. Especially right now when people are being forced all over the world to take online classes, when campuses are being closed and things like that. Now more than ever, I hypothesize that we might see a slip in educational finishing because people are going to struggle with online learning. It's a different way of learning, So that support is going to be really important, So it comes out of a very honest time and a very honest experience. I would also guess, as a woman of color in law, my guess is that there is an additional component of needing that additional support. If you were just some white dude going to Harvard Law, it would be very different than the experience you're having in law school, you know? So like that's another component. So your original question was like, am I even on the right path with this platform? Like, this isn't some like, oh, I'm going through something terrible. Like, and that's, everybody has something that they're overcoming though. So even if yours is not poignantly obvious, it's still, as a woman in law, just that alone, you're going through something, you know? And you'd be kidding yourself if you said you weren't. Like, you are, you know, it's different for you. The conversations with men are different. The conversations with, so a male student and his supervisor, or his male teacher, that conversation's different than the female student and her male teacher. Like, it just is different. So if you could gather people together and have those conversations about like, and wouldn't you love to sit down with a white male and be like, what's your life like? Like, what are you doing to succeed in this? You know, like that would be interesting to open up those lines of communication. And maybe at first you do it once. Maybe you just hold one group conversation and you get on Zoom and you give everybody, and you just do one and just see how it goes. And if it goes great and people want to do it again next week, okay, let's come back next week and do it again. And pretty soon, now it's happening once a week or once a month or once however often, where people are just coming together and really like talking through these things that are important things and helping and encouraging each other, you know, and sharing resources and sharing like stories of success and encouraging each other. So, because there will be different times when others will like fall, you know, so it's like bonding together so that there's this scripture that says something along the lines of that blessed is he who has a mate or something. It's like something like that. Like because when one of them falls, the other will lift them up. And if you fall and you're all by yourself and no one's around to pick you up, you got to figure it out yourself to come up, you know? But if you fall and you've got a mate that's there to help you up, okay, well then all of a sudden now, you know, you're in a better place. So what are your thoughts with all of this, Dara? What are you thinking?
No, I think that sounds amazing, actually. I love that idea of, you know, supporting someone and sort of lifting them up. I think that's quite important, really, because I guess having that human element to things is always great. And I think having a chat is always great as well, because I guess then it's not just me trying to impose some kind of knowledge, but I guess it would be a group of people discussing what they think is working for them and what's not working for them, and I guess solving it together. So I think that's a great idea. Thank you. Yeah, good. And then as the leader, which you will be the leader of the group, you'll be the one that's able to take all of that information and kind of boil it down to, now how can I create something to give to people? So it's going to be the guidebook that you're creating, that support guidebook, which I think is brilliant, you know. But my dad always said, if you want people to come to your party, give them something to bring. Like, tell them to bring the ice or tell them to bring the decorations, because then it's not just your party, it's their party too. And they're going to want to show up because they're bringing the decorations or they're bringing the ice or they're responsible for a piece. So if you get a group together and you get people to, this is where a lot of people miss when a lot of people are trying to like build their social media following, or they're trying to like start a movement or something. When it's just your movement, it's no one really has buy-in, you know? You only really get buy-in when they have shared responsibility, right? So by creating a group and you're in conversation and stuff, and you're like, that's a great idea, and that's a great idea, and this is awesome, and that's awesome. Then you kind of put those together. Maybe you even ask someone in the group, hey, could you write that exactly as you would want it to be said? And I'm going to copy and paste it and put it in my guidebook. And then now you've got all these other people writing the book, you know, and you put it all together in one and publish the book. Now you've got the first year law students guide to success, you know, version 1, you know, edition 1. And then next year you've got a new guide to success, you know, second year law student guide to success, third year law student. Now pretty soon you've got all these things on Amazon, and you could then even collect the money and get a scholarship fund going, or use it to fund a meetup in person
with all of these people, like, or host a live event where you've got a panel of people that are sharing. You could even do that now where you get together some of your own friends or influencers in your life, and you put together I have a friend who's doing a quarantine retreat, and she's just gathering 7 people. Each one of them are presenting a different topic of self-care during quarantine. Like, how can you, like, one's presenting on movement, one's presenting mindset, one's presenting on food and like different things. So every day a different person is taking on, and it's 1 week long. And then next week she's going to do a different group of 7 people together. She doesn't have to present anything at all. She's just providing the communication lines, The
space, yeah.
Yeah. So something like that, you could even put together like a panel to support people, especially now when there's so many other stress factors happening in the world that they really need to have that immediate support, So yeah. How are you feeling about all this?
Really great.
I'm feeling excited, to be honest. I just feel like a lot of clarity has come upon me thanks to you. So I really thank you for going through this with me. I think that's great. It has all the elements that I was dreaming of. I guess I didn't know how to format it. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah, good. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, it's great. And now the next phase will be actually implementing it, because it's one thing to like have a great idea. Mm-hmm. The other side of it is like you actually have to put it into motion. And what I found in preparation for your pageant, like your pageant, and I think you said your pageant does not have interview. So it's the way that you're going to actually be explaining this is going to come through your paperwork. It's going to come through your onstage answers. It's going to come through the media interviews, your social media in preparation for the pageant, all those other elements. So the sooner that you can make steps toward, and you want to, like, done is better than perfect. So you want to just get a group together and just get on a Zoom call or get on a Google Hangout or whatever. Just get it going. Then you'll get more information. You'll be, okay, I know how you'll get more creative, The more actions that you take forward, the more clarity will come. And then you'll be like, okay, now I know what to do. And you can shift and move so that by the time the pageant rolls around, this thing is like going, Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, I'll have to get onto that. But you're right. It is a perfect time to start something like this, especially because I actually have a little sister. She's 10 and she is getting really upset at this whole digital thing. So she's 10 years old and using, she has to do a few things online with her teacher. And so it's quite overwhelming for her. So, and I know it's quite overwhelming for people in uni as well. I did a few online courses and it wasn't great. So
yeah, it's hard. It's a learning curve.
That's a perfect time.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it'd be awesome. Yeah, to just have, even if you had one day and you got somebody that could talk about online learning, like how to actually like strategies for online learning, or and that could literally be anybody could do that. Like anybody that, I could do that. Like, okay, what are my strategies for online? Well, in the morning, I bring my water up to my desk. I have a comfortable chair that I sit in. I make sure that I've got a little snack. I've got my chapstick right here so I don't have to leave for my computer. I can dial in, I turn off my phone. I close the door, whatever, like set up your space, like people will be able to have little small things that can go a long way,
Yeah.
So yeah. Cool. Yeah, yay. Does this feel good for you?
Yeah, I feel excited.
Yeah.
So watch out. I'll definitely start on this. Thanks for the motivation, really.
Yes, good. My pleasure. Well, I'm here if you need me again. And I think you decided no pageant interview game plan right now. You haven't joined yet, or have you? Are you in it?
So I've joined. I haven't really started it, I guess, just because, I wanted to discuss it with you to see whether you thought it was still worth doing, especially because there's no interview. But like I said, definitely go through it and see how it can help me in terms of interviewing, even if it was a news article or even just talking to people. So I guess that's a good way to practice. Yeah.
And in the pageant interview game plan, the very first module goes through branding. So I think that this could help you, because that was one of your questions, was like, am I even on the right track with this? And I don't have like some story that's whatever, but you do have aspects of who you are, which is your brand. That's who you are. Those aspects, as you learn them, then we apply it to paperwork. So you'll learn how to apply it to paperwork. You'll definitely learn how to apply it to communication. So that would be through, media channels and other things, on-stage question, things like that you'll still do that during your pageant, and of course after your pageant as well. And those are things that you could even do. Like, let's see, August, you've got, April, May, June, July, August. I'm like counting on my fingers. Yes, you've got 5 months. You could actually like even do media interviews. Like, imagine if you did a local news station. They're looking for content right now because, they're trapped at home too. Like, you could do content where you say, hey, what I've learned is, because this is very, very topical right now, is online learning. So you could reach out to your local news stations and say, hey, I'm actually creating a support group for lawyers, law students that are having to transition to online learning. Here are 3 tips that you or your child could do to learn better at home. Boom, boom, boom. And if you want to join our group, here's where to go. Like, that would be awesome for local media stations right now. Get on some big stations and do some cool stuff, because people haven't yet. Soon, those stories will, like probably next week, those stories will start to come out, because people right now are struggling. So the people who are on top of it are going to start having the answers sooner than later, So if you get on your news station next week, boom, do some news. Like, that would be epic for your pageant.
Yeah, it would. It would be epic. Yeah, that's a great idea. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, my dear. I don't want to overwhelm you with like a ton of ideas. But I think you're in a great place to kind of get this thing off the ground. Connect with me if there's anything else that I can do to be of service for you to keep it moving forward.
Well, thank you so much for blessing me with your time. It's been awesome talking to you and getting to expand the ideas and everything. This is really great. So
absolutely, my
enjoy
pleasure.
the rest of your day.
Ooh, wasn't that good stuff? Oh, I hope you learned so much from her. I know I had so much fun doing this strategy call with her, as we usually do. It's fun. So 2 things. If you need to hear more of these strategy sessions, because they're so good and you can learn so much from them, then just search strategy sessions, because I have a few more clients that also agreed to be recorded. So you'll be able to look at the behind the scenes of their calls as well. And then if you are ready to schedule your strategy session, you can go to winapageant.com/coaching. That's going to take you to my calendar, so you can see what appointments are available and when you can book yours. And you'll also see pricing options there, which types of calls are available and how much do each of them cost. And you can book your call directly from there. I cannot wait to work with you. Head over to winapageant.com/coaching to check it out. I'll see you next time.